You probably think you're great at multitasking. It's become a badge of honor in our hyper-connected world, a skill we proudly list on our resumes. We've convinced ourselves that juggling multiple streams of information is the key to productivity. Checking emails while listening to a podcast, replying to messages during meetings, even scrolling through your phone while watching Netflix. It feels efficient. It feels powerful. But here's the truth your brain has been trying to tell you. It isn't doing all those things at once. It's just switching, rapidly. This process is called task switching, and it's fundamentally different from true parallel processing. Your brain, for all its marvel, has a critical limitation, an attentional bottleneck. It can only consciously process one stream of information at a time. The part of your brain responsible for this, the prefrontal cortex, acts as an executive controller. When you try to multitask, you're forcing this controller to constantly stop, reset, and restart its focus. And every single switch, no matter how small, comes at a hidden cost. Groundbreaking research published in 2001 by psychologists Rubinstein, Meyer, and Evans revealed what they called the switch cost. Even for simple tasks, these costs can add up to a 40% loss in productivity. It's not just time. Your error rate skyrockets. Your brain, busy with the act of switching, has fewer resources for the task itself. This cognitive load also drains your mental energy, leaving you feeling fatigued and unfocused, even after a day where you felt incredibly busy. In the age of infinite feeds and constant pings, this has given rise to a specific phenomenon: media multitasking. A landmark 2009 study from Stanford University by Ophir, Nass, and Wagner delivered a shocking conclusion. They found that heavy media multitaskers, the very people who practice it the most and believe they are the best at it, are actually worse at filtering out irrelevant information and switching between tasks than those who multitask less. The more you do it, the worse you become at the underlying skills it requires. So why do we keep doing it? It's a chemical story. Every notification, every new email offers a hit of dopamine, a reward for seeking novelty. This creates a powerful, addictive habit loop. At the same time, the constant state of alert elevates cortisol, our primary stress hormone, keeping us in a low-grade state of fight or flight. The consequences extend to our ability to learn and remember. When your attention is divided during encoding, that information is stored superficially, if at all. It never makes it to deep, long-term memory. But this isn't a permanent sentence. By understanding the neuroscience of attention, we can begin to reclaim our focus. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore not just the problem, but the solutions. We'll look at actionable strategies like single tasking, time boxing, and improving your notification hygiene to retrain your brain. It's time to trade the myth of multitasking for the power of deep, singular focus. For decades, we've been told multitasking means productivity. But research from Stanford University found that people who constantly multitask are actually worse at filtering out distractions, remembering information, and switching between tasks efficiently. Their brains are in a constant state of partial attention, always on, but rarely focused. To understand why multitasking is a myth, we need to look inside your brain, specifically at a region called the prefrontal cortex. Think of it as your brain's chief executive officer. Located right behind your forehead, this sophisticated area is responsible for all your highest-order thinking, planning, making complex decisions, and most importantly, directing your focus. It's the part of you that sets goals and resists distractions. At the heart of the prefrontal cortex's power is working memory. This isn't long-term storage, it's your brain's temporary mental workspace, like the RAM in your computer. And here's the crucial part. It has a very limited capacity. Most research suggests we can only hold and manipulate about 3 to 5 pieces of information at any given moment. So, what happens when you try to multitask? Say, write a report while keeping an eye on your email. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't magically grow more working memory slots. It doesn't process these tasks in parallel. Instead, it performs a neurological sleight of hand called task switching. Your brain isn't doing two things at once. It's rapidly toggling your attention between them. It's like a spotlight, not a floodlight. It can only shine its full beam of concentration on one thing at a time. When a notification pops up, your brain's attention system yanks that spotlight away from your report and points it toward the new message. To make that switch, your brain has to disengage from the rules and goals of writing and then load a completely new set of rules and goals for reading and replying. And this is where the myth of multitasking completely falls apart. Every single one of these switches, no matter how brief, comes with a price. Psychologists call this the switch cost, a measurable penalty paid in both time and mental energy. Pioneering research demonstrated that the time lost to task switching can be substantial. Even for simple tasks, the mental recalibration can take several tenths of a second. That might not sound like much, but when you switch hundreds of times an hour, the costs accumulate relentlessly. Each switch requires your brain to burn precious metabolic resources like glucose. That little zap of a neuron firing is a real physical event. When you force your brain to constantly reconfigure itself for new tasks, you are draining its battery far more quickly than if you were to focus on one thing at a time. This is why a day filled with interruptions can leave you feeling more exhausted than a day of deep, focused work. The consequences of these switch costs are profound. That famous statistic that heavy multitasking can reduce your productivity by up to 40% is the direct result of accumulated time loss and a higher error rate. When you switch back to your original task, your brain doesn't just pick up where it left off. It's often cluttered with attentional residue from the task you just left, making you more prone to mistakes. But the damage isn't just to your work, it's to your well-being. This constant state of cognitive juggling puts your brain on high alert, triggering the release of stress hormones like cortisol. Your body perceives the perpetual state of distraction as a low-grade threat, keeping you in a state of chronic stress. This is why a day of multitasking can leave you feeling frazzled, anxious, and overwhelmed. You're not just inefficiently managing your tasks, you're actively creating a stressful biological state. Here's the central paradox of our modern work life. Multitasking feels incredibly productive precisely because it keeps us perpetually busy. Our fingers fly across the keyboard, we juggle multiple conversations, and our screens are a mosaic of open tabs and windows. This constant activity creates a powerful illusion of forward momentum. But it's crucial to understand that being busy is not the same as being effective. In fact, the science tells us they are often opposites. The culprit is a phenomenon neuroscientists call switch cost. Every time you shift your attention from one task to another, say, from writing a report to checking an email, your brain doesn't make a clean, instantaneous leap. Instead, it has to actively disengage from the first set of rules and cognitive goals, and then load up an entirely new set. This isn't free. It comes with a measurable cost in time, in quality, and in mental energy. Pioneering research by psychologists Rubinstein, Meyer, and Evans quantified this effect. They found that for complex tasks, the time lost to switching can be substantial. Across a workday, these constant micro-interruptions can accumulate, costing as much as 40% of a person's total productive time. Think about that. Nearly half your day can be consumed not by doing work, but by the mental gymnastics of reorienting your brain. The cost also manifests in a higher error rate. When we switch rapidly, we are far more likely to make mistakes, overlooking details in the report or misinterpreting the tone of that email. So, if it's so inefficient, why does it feel so good? The answer lies in our brain's ancient reward circuitry. Your brain loves the feeling of completion. When you fire off a quick reply, delete an email, or cross a trivial item off your to-do list, your brain releases a small amount of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. These are micro-dopamine hits. The problem is, our brain can't easily distinguish between the satisfaction of completing a small, unimportant task and the satisfaction of making progress on a large, meaningful one. It just knows that the small tasks offer a faster, more reliable reward. This creates a powerful behavioral feedback loop. The cue is a notification or the mere thought of an unchecked inbox. The routine is to switch tasks. The reward is the dopamine hit. Over time, our brains become conditioned to seek out these quick fixes, turning us into productivity junkies who are always chasing the next small win. But at the same time, this cycle of constant switching actively prevents the state of deep focus required for high-value work. This is the kind of sustained, uninterrupted concentration that leads to creativity, critical insight, and real, tangible progress. Neurologically, you're keeping your brain's reactive, bottom-up attention system, the ventral network, on high alert, constantly scanning for the next stimulus. This prevents your goal-oriented, top-down attention system, the dorsal network, from taking firm control and directing your cognitive resources toward a single, complex objective. Furthermore, research on attention residue by Sophie Leroy shows that even after you switch to a new task, a part of your cognitive bandwidth remains stuck on the task you just left. Your brain is still processing the loose ends of that email or the details of that conversation, which means you can't give your full, undivided attention to the new task at hand. This is the illusion of efficiency in its most seductive form. We are caught in a cycle of busyness, rewarded by our own neurochemistry for accomplishing very little of substance. We trade the profound satisfaction of deep, meaningful work for the shallow, fleeting pleasure of clearing our notifications. We are busy, but we are not moving forward. Constant multitasking doesn't just drain your focus, it reshapes your brain. Over time, it reduces your ability to concentrate, increases anxiety, and even lowers emotional intelligence. You become addicted to distraction, always seeking new stimuli, unable to stay still. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters, deeply and without distraction. So the next time you feel the urge to multitask, pause. Focus on one thing, because when everything demands your attention, the real power lies in choosing where to give it.